Hey you guys, we are in Chapter 4, Section 6, and we are looking at congruence in right triangles. So as you can see in this diagram below, we have two sides and a non-included angle of one triangle that's congruent to two sides and the non-included angle of another triangle. We see that segment AC has a length of 5, segment PR has a length of 5, we see BC has a length of 4, and QR has a length of 4. And we see that angle A is 45 degrees and angle P is 45 degrees. So we see that what we have congruent in these triangles here is angle, side, side. And as you know, we don't have a triangle congruence postulate or theorem that's angle, side, side. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have a special case for this angle, side, side congruency. So, obviously we don't call it that. What we do call it is the hypotenuse leg theorem, or the HL theorem. This theorem says if the hypotenuse and a leg of one right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and a leg of another right triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So, in a right triangle, the side opposite the right angle is called the hypotenuse. This is the longest side in the triangle. The other two sides are called the legs. Now, to use the HL theorem, or the hypotenuse leg theorem, the triangles must meet these three conditions. There must be two right triangles. The triangles must have congruent hypotenuses. And there must be one pair of congruent legs. So these are the three conditions to use the HL theorem. Alright, so let's use this HL theorem with this problem. It says, on the basketball backboard brackets shown below, angle ADC and angle BDC are right angles, and segment AC is congruent to segment BC. Are triangles ADC and triangle BDC congruent? Explain. So to prove triangles are congruent, we now have 5 different postulates or theorems. We have side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and the HL theorem, or the hypotenuse leg theorem. The two triangles that we see that we have right angles, and we know right angles are congruent. We also see that these segments are congruent, and I know that this segment is congruent to itself by the reflexive property. So I'm going to put hash marks there. So I know that triangle ADC is congruent to triangle BDC by the hypotenuse leg theorem. My three conditions again were that the hypotenuses are congruent, and the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle. So here's the side across from the right angle, and here's the side across from the right angle. That we have a leg congruent to a leg, we have that, and we have a right angle. So it meets the three conditions. So these triangles are congruent by the HL theorem. Alright, so let's prove the following. Let's prove that triangle PRS is congruent to triangle RPQ, given that angle PRS, and angle RPQ are right angles as shown, and that segment SP is congruent to segment QR, also shown. Alright, so let's make a proof. You can do a 2-column proof, you can do a paragraph proof, you can do a float proof, whatever you like. I'm going to do a float proof. So I'm going to start with my given, just like you should. Given angle PRS and angle RPQ are right angles, and segment SP is congruent to segment QR. And again, my reason for that is given. My next statement is I'm going to say that because angle PRS and RPQ are right angles, I know they are congruent. So angle PRS is congruent to angle RPQ. And I know this because that's the definition of right angles. And I needed my given statement to make this statement, so I'm going to draw an arrow. I'm also going to say that I know that segment PR is congruent to segment RP. I want to say that over here. Segment PR is congruent to segment RP. And I know this because it's the same side. It's exactly the same. Both triangles share it, so this is the reflexive property of congruence. I'm going to mark that on my triangles. I don't need either of these other statements to make this statement, so I'm not going to draw any arrows to it. But now that I have it, I can say that these two triangles are congruent. So I'm going to say triangle P, that's an R, so PRS is congruent to triangle RPQ. And my reason here is I have two right triangles, the hypotenuses are congruent, and a leg is congruent, so the hypotenuse leg theorem is my reason. And I needed both this statement and this statement to make my final one. And that's it. So pretty short proof. This was actually really similar to the problem we just saw. Alright, so you try all four of these. And this is going to end the video, so make sure you took good notes. Go back and recheck it if you want to make sure that you copy down everything that I wrote and you tried all the U-try problems. It says, are the two triangles congruent? If so, write the congruent statement. Remember, the congruent statement is this triangle is congruent to that triangle and the reason why. Alright, let me know if you have questions tomorrow. Thanks.